It's the end of summer and we are in Arkona looking for fossils. So if I find anything interesting, I'll show you. You can see the pit is nice and green and it's also flooded. We had some good rain this overnight, so everything should be nice and wet, which makes it very easy to look for fossils. So let's head out and look for some cool fossils. Not really a find I can take home, but this was, I believe this was found last trip by the trip lead. And it's a large segment of crinoid stem. Look at that. That's pretty uncommon for this location. That's pretty cool. But yeah, crinoids are, for those who don't know, they're I guess what you could call a sea lily. So there's be this stalk here. This is the crinoid stem that would be secured to the sea floor. And then it would have this head, and I have a couple examples that I've collected. I'll try and throw up some pictures or a quick video of one of them. And it'll have this head with these tiny little arms that have all these little feathery attachments. And those would basically like filter feed in the water. But this is just the stem segment. But usually you find the stem segments either like one individual segment or just a couple together. Like I think the biggest together piece I found is about that big, and that's technically cheating because I found the segments apart from each other, but they stuck together, so I glued them together. So it's pretty uncommon to find something this big. That's pretty cool. So this rock, actually last trip I was here I found this rock and it had some trilobite bits in it. You can actually see one of the heads I found. Super worn, so I didn't extract it. But there were some other heads and bits in here. And this piece, you can see there's one eye over there. Let's try and get a closer up. Yeah, you can see the eye, you can see the cheek, you can see the nose, which I believe is, I forget the name of it. I don't know. And then it's just missing the other eye and cheek part, but that's a pretty decent sized trilobite segment. If it had been whole, that would have been a nice large sized trilobite. So just picked up this piece. It's pretty distinct. When you see the nose of a trilobite, you can usually tell, especially when it gets this big. Fortunately, it's just the nose and one of the eyes and then half of the other eye. It's not a whole one. If I could find one that's whole, that's this size with this size of head, it'd be a really good day. But still cool to show you guys. And for those who don't know, trilobites are a type of arthropod, marine arthropod that lived in the oceans for a while. And they played a very important role in the early ocean habitats on Earth. But then unfortunately they went extinct. It would have been cool if a couple of them hung around, but they did not survive. So I already picked it up, but I put it down where I found it. Just in this wash, we're basically on top of, there's a ledge here on the one side that you can collect on, and there have been some good trilobites found here on club trips. And me and my friend, Brian, we were just checking out the top of the ledge in some of these washes, and I just noticed basically underneath this limestone rock, it's a bit dirty now because I've been rubbing it, but I saw this, the swirl of a gastropod, and I picked it up, and then I realized that it's a lot bigger than I originally thought. This is actually old gastropod here. It's a bit crushed, but it is a pretty big gastropod, all things considered. Don't think I've ever found one of these before, so that's a cool find. Pulled out another decent sized gastropod. Well, mostly gastropod. There's, what it is this is the shell. You can see this darker gray material is the shell, and then this internal stuff, that's actually the cast that is filled in. So a lot of the shell is worn away, but this is very, these are pretty big for here. Like, I haven't collected ones these big. So two big ones in one trip, that's well worth the trip. Hopefully it'll clean up well, and I'll throw up some pictures or something So it's partial, but it's a pretty good partial. Let's see if you guys can spot it. I think it's partial. Yeah, the back end doesn't have the enrolled bit. That's not bad. It's got some good detail to the face. So we'll take that. Partial trilobite. Can't complain. Trilobites are pretty interesting creatures, all things considered. So we were in this section looking for tentaculites, because every time I've come here the last couple times I found some plates of tentaculites, and there's an interesting funky creature, but this time it's a bit too washed out and wet still, so I unfortunately haven't spotted the tentaculite layer, but I did notice the layer with these brachiopods. I want to say these are the Mucospirifer arcanensis, which are, I might be wrong on that, I could be totally wrong, but they have these insane wings. But you can see with this one, part of the wing is here, but it would extend way farther, and then of course there would be on this side, so this one probably would easily be this wide. But their wings are very fragile and almost never get extracted whole, and if you do extract them with both wings, they're usually broken, so you have to glue them back together. But just out of curiosity, I'll just kind of push a couple of these guys around, but you can see they're super skinny, but their wings are super fragile. Like, this is the wing section of this one, and it's only one partial wing, of course. Though I think this might be from the same one, so I might just take those back and glue them together and see if I can get one whole one, kind of cheat a bit. Like you can see with this one as well, they're just super skinny, but unfortunately they're super fragile as well. So we're on this side of the pit now, and this section is known for having some good old pyrite stuff and some fish bones. These don't look like much, but these two fragments there, those are fish bone fragments. You can kind of see the bigger one, you can see the bone cells. But those would have come from placoderms, which are one of the earliest jawed fish, which is pretty cool. And they had these exterior or semi-exterior scale plate sections, which is why they have the name placoderm, because I think that means like plated skin or like armored skin or something around that terms. But it's a pretty interesting area. The clay hill, just stuff erodes out of the clay hill. The best thing to do is kind of just get on your knees, look very close, just pick a section, crawl up the hill, crawl down, and then repeat, just looking for the pyritized stuff and the fish bones. Here we have a nice little hash plate with some brachiopods. We got a little tiny platycera, spiny platycera, and we've got a whole bunch of crinoid bits. I do like these hash plates like this because it always has some interesting mixes of stuff in there. Some very cool stuff. Sitting kind of on top, just slowly going along. And we've got some bivalves, some plesiopods. Then I got that little tiny segment that seems to be fish bone, but I think it's actually a plate segment, an outer plate segment. It's got very distinct shaping. Actually, yeah, that was the wrong side. You can kind of see it's very sharp edges. Oop. It's got very sharp edges, and it's got some very interesting textures. So I'm going to show this to Bob and see what he thinks. Just kind of walking along here, and I found the spill of fishbone fragments. That one thin sliver is really obvious, like you can see that bluish white color. I believe it's a chalcedony that's come in and filled in the bone. and that's what gives off the white-blue coloration. But yeah, this whole cliffside, you can find fish bones, and if you're lucky, armored plates. Thanks. So I was just checking out that layer. So we got this lovely little coral bit. This is probably the best one I found of this species. I don't remember the name because I'm horrible with remembering names, so once I find it, I'll throw it up in the top of the video, of course, for you folks. And then I also found this large section of a larger bactrite. Bactrites are a ancient cephalopod, a straight-shelled cephalopod. Well, straightish shelled. There's some bactrites that have shells that are slightly curved and do some interesting stuff, but they are related to like our squids and our octopuses of today. Just our squids and octopuses of today don't have shells. So that's a cool little find. And you can see it's also pyritized. It's been oxidized a bit, but it is pyritized. That's where I found my trilobite. And then earlier today I found 2 gastropods in this washout. So I kept poking around. There's that trilobite bit that I found, and then a couple other trilobite bits. Unknown thing, a hash plate. And then I was just peering over here, and you can just see it. Another gastropod by the looks of it. Yeah, that looks like a gastropod. And then right beside that gastropod, where was it? Over here. Can't see it great on camera. Brachiopod. Nice twofer. But yeah, this little spot up here seems to be treating me well today. So I'll keep at it. And I'm probably leaving in an hour. I've got a bit of a drive home, and I don't want to be home too late. I've got a couple things I need to take care of course. It's just about to leave.
Yeah, look at this.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Bob just found one too.
Yeah, that's only
a partial calyx.
Yeah.
But then I got this one right over here, and I think it's... Oh no, the back. I think the back end got blown out. So I'll
videotaping it, and I found this one. When he found one
look for it. Looks like the back is, there's some of the back is missing, so we'll check around and see if the other section is around. Bob just found this insane calyx. It's got the arms, it's got the calyx part, and then it's even got the stem that it's attached to. So we're gonna get a little tool and dig it out all together so that you can take it home and make sure it stays together. Before we get into looking at some of the new finds, let's talk a bit about crinoids. I want to focus on crinoids in this video, as I did find a couple calyxes. This one looks quite small, we'll have to show it closer up, and some partial ones as well. And a couple other nice calyxes were found on this trip. So I'd like to talk about crinoids and just share a bit of information about crinoids to you folks. Crinoids are a type of marine invertebrate. They belong to the phylum Echinodermata, so they're in the same phylum as sea urchins, starfish, brittle stars, all those interesting marine invertebrates. The earliest for sure known fossil evidence of crinoids is from the Ordovician era. Now I say for sure because there is a fossil that was found in the Burgess Shales, which is Cambrian era, that looks crinoid-like, but there's still some debate on if the fossil itself is a crinoid and where it would fall in the animal kingdom. So there's debate on when the first crinoids showed up, whether it was in the Cambrian or in the Ordovician. it seems like there were like crinoid-like or very crinoid-similar fossils in the Cambrian, and then by the Ordovician, crinoids had fully taken form. Now, there still are crinoids living today, actually, though the stocked variety has become a lot less common. In the past, I believe the stocked variety was the more common body type of the crinoids, but now it's the other way around. The non-stocked variety, also known as feather stars, is a mobile variety of crinoid that doesn't rely on having a stalk. Though there are still stalked varieties of crinoids, they're just less common. On this trip, I found 2 crinoid calyxes from 2 separate species. One is an Arthrocantha calyx, and the other is a Decorocrinus calyx. It's quite small, but you can see the nice cross-hatching pattern. And then it's got some of the arms, though they've been folded over a little bit, there's still some of the arms are present, which is really cool. Whereas the Arthrocantha, unfortunately, you can see the top is missing. The top got weathered out. Bottom's still there. I bet if this got cleaned, the bottom, you can see the where it would have attached to the stem. This calyx here on this crinoid plate is an example of a Arthrocantha calyx. So this one is getting munched on by a snail, by the looks of it. Or the snail is not necessarily munching on it. So it seems like some of these snails just basically ate the excrement of the crinoids. Though I think there's some maybe parasitic varieties of the snails too. Now at first glance, these don't look too wonderful. They're just partial brachiopods. But if you look closer, there's a little tiny partially spiraled shell on there. And that, I believe, I couldn't ID it because my regular ID site is down, or the site that I use the ID is down. But these are the remnants of little worm-like creatures, if I remember correctly, that would latch on to these brachiopods, which is kind of a cool find. These are the first time I found these, so that was a cool find. Now, everybody goes to Arkona hoping to find a trilobite. I found a bunch of partials. These 3 are all partial heads, and then this one is a partially enrolled one. This would be an Arona specimen. But you can see how the rest is just kind of eroded away or been damaged. And just to compare, these are 2 more complete Arona, one that is nice and flat, and then one that is enrolled. This one I found last year in Arkona on the riverbed. That's there. Now these 2 trilobite pieces look quite common. They're just the tail ends. But what's unique about these 2 is that I believe, if you look closely, you can see it on the camera. You can see all those little bumps on there. That's Arona does not have that bumpy of a tail. Same with this one. You can see there are bumps on this tail as well, which, talking with the trip lead, with Bob, who's actually found a species of this variety, these 2 bumpy pygiums or trilobite tails come from the rare trilobite Phacops iowensis southworthi, which is a quite rare kind of bumpy. I'll throw up some pictures of a enrolled example that our trip lead Bob found, but it is a rare bumpy trilobite that you can find in the Arkona area. It is quite uncommon, so even finding 2 tails on one trip is pretty cool. this brings us to the end of the video. If you like this type of stuff, or if you like rockhounding related stuff as well, and you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. And please, folks, in the comment below, let me know what you guys found the most interesting on this trip. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.